the basis of our discussion this afternoon, and I'm now joined by Madam Tiperu Nusura, who is the first chairperson of the NRM Party Youth League. She served in the National Parliament and has recently concluded her tenure as part of the East African parliamentarians representing Uganda. She is a founder member of the NRM Party and has been on the forefront of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni's campaigns as part of the presidential advance team from the NRM Secretariat headed by the Secretary General, Honorable Justin Lumumba. Madam, thank you so much for joining us on Bottom Line Africa.
Thank you too. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Now, let's start with a reaction from that piece we just watched, filed by Lorraine Anthony. Bobi Wine is asking the ICC to investigate President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and the senior officials for sanctioning human rights abuses. Let's get your reaction on that.
Anybody can attempt to sanction President Museveni if they don't know who Bobi Wine is. I served as the first NRM Youth League chairperson, and Bobi Wine actually was, at the beginning, a member of the NRM party. And I want to tell you that he's a specialist in drama. As far as I am concerned, and the people of Uganda are concerned, President Museveni has never abused human rights. Whatever is happening is a deliberately staged by Bobi Wine to attract international attention against the country Uganda. He is aware that President Museveni has overwhelming support and is destined to win, and is looking for scapegoats to see that the world deviates from the actual situation on the ground, that is the election which will be taking place on 14th, to matters of human rights. And yet, the incidences that have occurred, unfortunate as they are as a result of him abusing the regulations for elections. He's not the only one contesting. We have the Honorable Norbert Mao, we have General Mugisha Muntu, who are observing the rules. He deliberately abuses the rules, finds himself in the scuffle with security officials, and then makes alarm that he's being witch-hunted. And yet he is actually the one who is creating mechanism to see that most of the young people end up having bloodshed. So we should actually be looking at sanctioning Bobi Wine's actions that have led to many deaths as a situation that has never happened in the history of Uganda. We have had elections with credible candidates. We've never had an election where we've had what is happening in Uganda today. And it's all because of his acts and his ill intention against the country and the electoral process.
All right, and I actually wish we had someone, Bobi Wine himself, or someone from his camp, because you are raising really grave allegations against him, madam. But you did say Wine, Chagulanyi, is a specialist in drama. What exactly do you mean?
What I mean is that he stages an act expecting a reaction from the security forces, and then he ensures that the international media captures that act, the reaction between him and the international media. So you will presume that actually Bobi Wine is being aggressed, and yet he is the one who stage manages the whole act. I'll give you an example. I was a candidate where he claims to have started his revolution from Arua. The president came in as a as somebody coming to campaign for the flag bearer of the NRM party. He and his team staged to stone the presidential motorcade. Now, on that day, we would have had over 500 young people dying. But because the president was at the scene of the event, he opted to ask the security to whisk him away and save lives. That was an attempted assassination on the president. But he turned around and claimed he was being witch-hunted, he was being beaten for no reason, forgetting that he actually had done the worst of what someone could do in this era, attempting to stone a presidential motorcade. Such an act cannot happen in America. I can't imagine what can happen to you if you attempt to stone a presidential motorcade in America. It was in that process that his arrest was taken. But he came around and started saying he's being witch-hunted, among others. So to me, knowing who he is, I don't think his accusations are true, and he himself needs to be investigated and brought to book.
Right, and of course you are speaking as the member of the presidential campaign team, NRM, and those are certainly your views, Madam Tiperu Nusura.
Yes,
but then
please.
again, you have mentioned of the arrests. Bobi Wine has been arrested a couple of times, especially this season during the campaigns, and you say it is as a result of breaching the COVID-19 protocols. But this is not the first time we're having these arrests, even before COVID-19 came to being. But then again, as you talk to us about that, let's also address the issue of journalists being injured, violence being meted upon journalists. What do you say about that? Is it justifiable?
Actually, Uganda as a country does not have a policy against maltreating journalists. Journalists have always had their freedom. They have covered every event. They are free to speak. The media fraternity actually are enjoying, they are at their best as we speak today. We have the highest number, we have a very big number of TV stations, radio stations. People can say anything on those radio stations and you're free to cover whatever story you want to cover. However, this is like a job hazard, an occupational hazard. If you find yourself in the scuffle among candidates, you're bound to suffer some of the problems that the journalists are facing. We would advise whenever there are scuffles, they should try to cover their story from a distance instead of being right in the middle of the scene. That's all I can say, but I want to say that there's no deliberate attempt to harass journalists in Uganda. Yeah.
But don't you think it's a bit too much? Because we're mere messengers. We're just there to do our job.
I've talked about it being an occupational hazard. It's not only Uganda. Oftentimes, journalists find themselves in the middle of scuffles. So you try your best to see how you can avoid it, but also capture the story. But all I want to tell you is that the journalists in Uganda are free. And this actually, it would be better if they themselves spoke for themselves. There could be a few instances here and there, but by and large, I don't want to presume that a journalist in Uganda has his life threatened. They go to work, report their stories, and report back home, safe and sound.
All right. Once again, those are your words. I do again wish we had a journalist here to give us their thoughts on that. Let me ask you the question that is, I'm certain, is almost on everyone's mind. Now, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has ruled for 35 years now, since 1986. He is seeking re-election. He is 76 years old, and his closest contender, if I'll put it like that, which is obvious, is Bobi Wine, who is half his age, that is 38. I mean, the question is, isn't it time for Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to retire? You yourself, you are a youth. Isn't it time for youths to, take the seat?
We have no complaint about the youth taking a seat. What is happening in Uganda is a manifestation of Uganda's democratic process. I want to assure you that when the age limit was opened, the presidency was opened for both the old and the young. So it will be unfair for the young who come into the race beginning to give a picture like old people should not come into the context. East Africans should know that actually President Museveni's age and experience in governance is the reason why we still want him on. We cannot just whisk him away. He is an icon of regional peace and security. He has transformed Uganda from what it was to what it is today. I hail from northern Uganda, a place that has suffered from war. He has ensured that now the region is peaceful. Now, when you're going into a contest, for example, the NRM as a party feels that President Museveni is the best candidate. We don't look at his age. In East Africa, we say uzei ni dawa. In Uganda, we say obukadde magezi. So we cannot just, because he's old, we cannot just claim because he's an old man, he should not be the president of Uganda. For us, that is value to the presidency. And time will come when the NRM party will decide that it's time for him to go. But as far as I'm speaking today, having Museveni actually makes NRM more credible and more popular, and our victory is destined because he, as a president, has a unique character that Ugandans still love.
Right, but then with all due fairness and respect, madam, he has been the president for 35 years now. What more does he hope to achieve? I know you have mentioned some of the achievements, and I am aware that, poverty rate has fallen down among others. But then again, there's been issues like joblessness, which, to be fair, we have them even here in Kenya. But what more does President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni hope to achieve that he hasn't achieved in 35 years now?
I am glad when we followed President Uhuru's speech during the funeral rite of President Moi. He said that nation building is not a one-day affair. Uganda is coming from a history of war. The first decade of President Museveni's rule, in fact, let me take it, 20 years of his rule, we were battling with matters of insecurity. We were battling with children living in camps. We were battling with children being abducted while going to school. And so, after the 20 years, we then went into Uganda now being secure, following the programs that he had put in place to negotiate with the rebels that were fighting government and using the UPDF to fight rebel forces out of Uganda. As we speak today, for the first time in the history of Uganda, we've had children go to school uninterrupted. We've had families settling down. We have clear commercial agriculture taking root. We have clear infrastructure development taking place in the whole country. And we see business booming. Every year we keep adding on to what we've already achieved. So as far as we are concerned, the 35 years to us seem very small because half of that decade was used to rebuild Uganda to what it is today.
Right. Lastly, before I let you go, and I was actually trying to look for that tweet by Muhoozi Kainerugaba, I hope I pronounced it right, the Lieutenant General in Uganda People's Defense Force. He's also Commander of Special Forces and Yoweri Kaguta Museveni's son. Now, people have accused him on Twitter of promoting tribalism and being a partisan army officer due to the bitter exchange that he did have with Bobi Wine, which, by the way, he has since deleted from Twitter. But if I could just read a bit of what he tweeted. That is Muhoozi saying, why is he dressed in red from neck to toe, trying to be a soldier with absolutely no training? And my phone fails me in the other bit of the tweet. But of course, we also saw Bobi Wine respond and say tweets from Muhoozi. Museveni gifted him the rank. I guess he deleted them after waking. All right. I guess you know what I'm talking about. I think I will not read this on air, but I know you know what I'm talking about. Let's talk about this. People have accused him of being a partisan army officer.
First of all, General Muhoozi is a humble officer. He's still a serving officer. He has not interfered with the electoral process. And I want the public to know that actually Bobi Wine and Muhoozi are friends. They normally exchange words. It is common practice in Uganda. You find sometimes ministers exchanging words with each other. That is the culture that President Museveni has put us in. We're a free nation. However, he is also the presidential advisor on special operations. If somebody tries to attack him, especially on any matter that falls within his docket, I believe he has the right to answer back. But by and large, I think it's important to know that General Muhoozi is not combative. He has not interfered with our electoral process, but we have seen instances of words being thrown back at him. I would rather urge politicians to avoid attacking the military, whereas the military should also avoid attacking politicians.
But I think he started it here. He started it here, and he's clearly partisan.
In this case, it is not him who started. And on the question of him being partisan, he is not partisan, by the way. But he's a serving military officer.
It's quite evident from the tweets.
It is known, and he's not tribal. The Muhoozi we know is not tribal. These are fabrications. Maybe he can answer to them, but the Muhoozi that we know, that the public knows, is not tribal. But the major issue here is it is common practice in Uganda, because it's our culture, that we have been made to counter, accuse, say anything the way we want, that exchange of words could have been. My call is just to ask politicians to respect the army, so that the army also avoids firing back at some of the attacks that they are given. It's not fair for politicians to provoke men in uniform. They've done their best to protect us, and I think it's better we keep it that way. Being the president's son really should not be brought as a matter in this picture.
All right.
During this electoral process, yeah.
All right, all right. And once again, those are
But
your
also,
views.
as the president's son, maybe in future he's free to retire from the army and contest, because we've had many more military officers retiring from the army and going into elective process. During that time then, we can then say he can say anything to politicians as the way he wants.
So
but
right
now, he has tried to be within the limits of what the military rules require him to be.
Right.
Unless you tamper with the security of the nation.
Okay, though I'm sure, I don't want to say a lot of people, but some people would not agree with you on that. But thank you, madam. That's where we ended. That's all the time we had. Okay, let me just give you a right of response.
Okay. I can say something?
Yes, yes, yes. Let me give you a right of response to that.
Well, I just wanted to say that, Uganda is not in chaos. There's some bit of picture that is being painted in the region as though there's going to be war in Uganda, the electoral process is not democratic. As we speak today, President Museveni is leading, and they are all indications. We have over 60,000, we have over 72,000 villages in Uganda, and the president has a structure in all the villages. The NRM party strength is anchored among the peasants. When we look at the electoral process today, we already have members of parliament who are unopposed. We have the youth league of the NRM, which is active, but we are not the league members are not violent. All they are focusing on is to ensure that they deliver victory on the 14th. The presumption that the youth of Uganda are not for President Museveni is a lie. We are only following what the president has told us to do, to follow the COVID regulations, campaign in a diplomatic manner, and wait for 14th to vote him. There is nothing new about him. We have seen what he has done. He has democratized the country. We have regular elections. Uganda has transformed to a large extent. All right. And really, I think the region should know that after 14th, we'll remain stable. All right. And there's no cause for panic.
Okay. Yeah. And we certainly do wish Uganda the very best on the 14th of January, that is this Thursday, when they will be having their elections. Thank you so much, Madam Tiperu Nusura, the first chairperson of the NRM Party Youth League and a member of the presidential campaign team. Now we take a short break here on Bottom Line Africa, but stay with us. We still have lots more for this break, even as I now leave you with Destination Africa.